welcome to our final Elul Liturgical Reflection. This has been a journey through the month of Elul, using some of the many pieces of liturgy that were written by members of our community in 2020 and 2021. Our final piece of liturgy, although there were so many more to choose from, and my hope is to gather them all together in a text that will make available for the community to study. Our final piece is a Techina by Ziva Gunther. The blare of the horn grew louder. I felt it resonate in my bones, shaking loose all my insecurities. I am not enough, but here I am. The blare of the horn grew louder. It woke up my heart, turning it from the stone of a selfish life to the flesh of compassion and hope. The blare of the horn grew louder. It opened up my lips, and I spoke. I told you all that I am, all that we are, and you, God, answered in thunder. The thunder grew louder, grew closer. I was scared, but I stayed. You, God, told me not to be afraid, and that you would dwell with me forever. The thunder grew louder until only I could hear it. And I answered you, I am a holy nation. Speak to me, and the blast of the horn will sound forever. Another wonderful piece of liturgy by a member of our community. The first verse, to me, the blare of the horn grew louder. I felt it resonate in my bones, shaking loose all my insecurities, immediately conjures up the image of the valley of the dry bones. This extraordinary metaphor of a rebirth that seems particularly appropriate at this time around Rosh Hashanah. I am not enough, but here I am. This phrase, here I am, is really important in the Bible in particular. This phrase, hineni. Hineni always carries with it a little ominous sense. It's a way of saying, I am fully here, which is so essential as we end the month of Elul. But it also carries a sense of foreboding. When somebody replies to God, hineni, or when somebody says to God, hineni, here I am, we know that there is a test to come. We know that there is a challenge to come. And so maybe that challenge, this resonates for me so strongly because that challenge is the challenge of the new year. After having gone through the month of Elul, we now stop and reflect and ask ourselves, what is going to be my challenge this year? In the middle, Ziva writes, the blare of the horn grew louder, it opened up my lips, and I spoke. That to me speaks of Adonai Sefatai Tiftachu Fi Yagi Tehilatecha. That opening reflection meditation that we are before the tefillah, in which we ask God to open up our lips so that our mouths may declare God's praise. And Ziva implies that it's the blare of the horn that calls us. And this is really interesting because in that opening reflection meditation, it's us talking to God, asking God to help us speak, to help us pray. But here, it's a response. It's teshuvah, an answer. All teshuvah is an answer to the question, where are you? What are you doing? Who are you right now? To which the best, most authentic response is, indeed, hineni, I am here. I told you, writes Ziva, I told you all that I am, all that we are, that individual identity is part of a group identity. As we go through our teshuvah during the month of Elul and the 10 days of penitence, we ask ourselves, where do I need to atone? Where do I need to change? But also, where do we as a community need to grow? And you, God, answered in thunder, Ziva writes, that phrase that comes from Sinai. That revelation is an answer to our question, where are you? We ask God as God asks us. Ziva writes, the thunder grew louder, grew closer. I was scared, but I stayed. We're scared at this time. This month of Elul, we are scared of what is being asked of us. We're scared of that transformation that is necessary. You, God, told me not to be afraid, and that you would dwell with me forever. That to me has echoes of Psalm 23. Lo irara ki ata imadi. Do not fear evil, for I am with you. And these final three lines, the thunder grew louder until only I could hear it. And I answered, I am a holy nation. Speak to me, and the blast of the horn will sound forever. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. The thunder grew louder until only I could hear it. At this point, it's really felt like it started very clearly. The blare of the horn grew louder. I felt it resonate in my bones. But there was that assumption, almost that unwritten assumption, that this was the thunder that we could all hear, especially because in the middle, you, God, answered in thunder. That reminds us of that communal revelation at Sinai. But in fact, Ziva corrects that assumption. The thunder grew louder until only I could hear it. That terrifying call of God, Ayeka, where are you? Which particularly, I think, really brings out here once again this communal call and individual call. In our society, the individual takes precedence. In the Jewish community, community takes precedence. And part of Reform Judaism is trying to find that balance between the traditional call to community and the individual call to the self. I answered you, I am a holy nation. It's shocking in some sense. How can we be a nation? Because we are representatives, all of us. In everything that we do, when we go out into the world, we are representatives of Judaism and of the Jewish community. We are the microcosm of something much larger. As I answered you, I am a holy nation. If it were not for every individual, we could not be that holy nation. God commands us to be holy, to be a nation of priests, to be holy, to be separate, to be distinct, to be other. What is it that we have uncovered during the month of Elul that reminds us, yes, this is me, this is unique, distinct, special? Speak to me, Ziva concludes, and the blast of the horn will sound forever. Instead of that taste that we had before, the blare of the horn grew louder, it opened up my lips and I spoke. That taste of the piece of liturgy, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, open my lips and my mouth shall declare your praise. Now we are asking God openly, speak to me. And the blast of the horn will sound forever. That blast of the horn that resonates in our bones, that shakes loose all our insecurities, that wakes up our heart, turning it from the stone of a selfish life to the flesh of compassion and hope. We are asking for that to be a continual call, so that everything that we do is a response to that essential divine question, Ayeka, where are you? Who are you now? Who do you want to be as you move in to this new year? And that horn blast asks us very clearly to respond, Hineni. Here is the best self that I can be. The blessing before the sounding of the shofar, Lishmoa kol shofar, thanking God who commands us to hear that individual and communal call, that sound, that voice of the shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Thank you for joining us on this journey of Elul Liturgical Reflection. It's been an extremely powerful journey for me. I hope it has been for you as well. These pieces of liturgy were just a taste of many of the pieces of liturgy that have been written by our members in the last few years in an extraordinary frenzy of liturgical creativity. And I really do plan to share that with you during the coming year. I encourage you to join us on Friday evening for our Erev Rosh Hashanah service, and I really truly wish you Shana Tova, a happy and healthy New Year.